I want you to imagine with this video that we're sitting down having a little bit of a chit chat about the €1 home initiative, because this video is going to be my very honest opinion on this initiative and the kind of reason why I don't think it is the best solution for everybody when it comes to moving to Italy. And I'm also going to explore why I don't think it's all it's cracked up to be and the really important things that you must consider. So grab a cup of coffee or a beverage of your choice and let's talk together about this €1 home initiative. Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the past couple of years, I'm sure you are already familiar with this initiative. It was created by the Italian government to rejuvenate towns and villages that over the years have become severely underpopulated because the local people upped and left, moved to bigger cities or left the country altogether. And so as a result, the Italian government decided to sell properties that were under their ownership for €1 to be able to entice people back into these areas and try to rebuild local communities. Now, you might be wondering how the government or these local governments obtained these properties in the first place. Well, a lot of them were second homes that Italian families owned or inherited through family connections. But over the years, they've not been able to afford the taxes that you have to pay on second homes or the maintenance and upkeep that these properties require. And so they have gradually become very, very dilapidated, and eventually the owners have surrendered them over to the local council. And that is essentially how they came to be sold for €1. Which leads me into the main thing you have to consider with this. A lot of newspaper articles, magazine articles will talk about this €1 home initiative in very romantic terms. It's almost like it is sold as the surefire way to move to Italy and make your dream a reality for less than the price of a takeaway coffee. However, there is so much that goes into this that I really want to make sure that you are aware of. Now, first and foremost, the condition of the homes, they are not habitable. You buy them. For €1, you are buying a crumbling shell in most cases. These homes have often been vacant for many years, and as such, they are crumbling away and they've had little to no investment in that time. So they need a lot of work done to them, which means that you are going to have to invest quite a bit of money. And you can see for yourself on YouTube plenty of videos of people who have done up these €1 homes, and they have invested anywhere from tens of thousands of euros up to hundreds of thousands of euros, depending on the work that needed to be done. So it's not a cheap investment. Now, I will say that if you're coming from a country where property prices are ridiculously high, I'm thinking America, I'm thinking the United Kingdom, then yes, even with the extra costs that you have to pay in terms of building work, in terms of the work itself that needs to be done, and also in terms of like taxes and paperwork that you have to complete, you could probably find somewhere here a lot cheaper than you would in your own country. However, you've then got to think about the location, because let's address the elephant in the room. There is a reason why the local people left these areas. It's because they desired more shops and services, better career prospects, maybe better schools. These places are often remote locations. You can find these €1 home initiatives dotted all across Italy, including here in Sicily, but they are really often in remote places with very little to do in and around the area itself. So you've got to decide if that is going to suit your lifestyle and the kind of life that you want to lead here in Italy. Because if you don't plan to drive here in Italy, then you're probably not going to be interested in these €1 homes, because the public transport is going to be limited at best. You've really got to factor this in, because living in the countryside, living in remote places isn't for everyone, and it can be really isolating, especially at the beginning when you don't really know many people, if anyone at all. So it's really important that you remember this. Secondly, you've got to consider what your budget is, because you see some comune will instill terms and conditions when it comes to selling these homes, in that you have to invest a certain amount of money, and you also in some cases have to complete the work by a certain amount of time. It's usually around 3 years, but that can vary depending on the comune. And then also tied into that is that you may have to spend a certain amount of time living permanently full-time in the property. The reason why is because some people have thought that this could be a great way to buy a second home or to list a home under Airbnb once it's refurbished. But of course, that goes against what this whole initiative is designed to do. This initiative is designed to breathe life back into these communities, not to keep them on a very transitory basis with people coming and going with no real permanence. So some commune will stipulate that you have to be resident full-time in that property for a certain amount of years. So you must do your research. And this is why I say this isn't an option for everyone. Not to mention the amount of time it's going to take to do these properties up. It isn't going to be a quick process. Work here in Italy takes forever. And trying to find reputable builders and, getting all of that signed off, all the bureaucracy that goes into building work here in Italy can take a long time. So this is not an immediate solution. It's not something that you're going to have done and dusted in a couple of months. It could take you a year or longer to have your home fully ready to be able to move into. It really depends on what work you have to get done. Now, €1 homes for me have never appealed because I realise just how much work is involved. I have been into some of these kind of country locations and I have seen homes that potentially could be €1 homes, and they are dilapidated at best. They are literal shells. You can see through the roof because there isn't even a roof in place in some of these places. So you can imagine the amount of work that needs to go into a project like that. And for some people, it's the perfect project to sink their teeth into. They've got the time, they've got the resources, and they want to have that satisfaction of having created their own dream home here in Italy. But for other people, it's really too much. It's extremely overwhelming. So you have to decide where you sit in terms of how much work you really want to invest into a project like this and how much time you have available. Now, another reason why I'm not sure a €1 home really is the best option for people, apart from the location, which we've spoken about, is also for the sense of community you're going to have. Remember, a lot of these villages will house older generations of people. So if you're a young family, for example, you need to start thinking how you're going to create a life for yourself and relate to the people that live in that village if they are a very different age to you. And this is going to make a difference because you don't want to move somewhere and immediately feel isolated. You need to try and find people that you can connect with, or at least, try to build some form of a community. So there really is a lot that goes into this. And this is why I have never, ever been tempted by this kind of €1 initiative. It kind of annoys me a little bit when I see lots of videos and shorts. In fact, I saw one just the other day, which inspired this video as well, talking about this scheme and almost glamorizing the process when it is absolutely the complete opposite of glamorous. It's the most unglamorous process you could go through just for the sheer amount of work you are going to have to endure. I will say though, some communes sell more premium houses, and these can be anywhere from €5,000 upwards. But I want to set your expectations straight because these premium houses are not perfect houses. There will still be defects. There is still going to be investment that is going to need to be made into those homes. But essentially, they are not going to be necessarily falling apart in the same way as a €1 home is. They're going to be more structurally sound most of the time with less work that needs to be done. So they can be other options as well to consider potentially. But you've also got to think, it's not just your home. A lot of these Italian homes are terraced homes, so they are joined to other houses either side. You need to be paying attention to the condition of those other houses, because if they have structural problems, if there is a problem with the roof, this could potentially impact your home and the amount of work that you're going to have to do. Because unfortunately, what happens with a lot of building work here in Italy, you begin with what you think you need to get done, only to uncover a lot more work later on down the line once things start to get going. So you need to brace yourself. These properties are very old. They've been abandoned for a very long time. And as such, that is going to impact exactly what needs to be done to the home itself. Now, if you haven't been put off by this and you're like, yeah, this is something I really, really want to do, I really, really, really recommend seeking out videos on YouTube of people who have actually gone through this process. Watch the transformation, listen to the numbers if they're transparent enough and they can honestly tell you how much money they spent on this, and try to understand if this is still something that you could do. What we forget sometimes is a lot of people who embark on these projects, they have a nest egg of money behind them, and they are able to commit to the project and also pay for any unforeseen problems that may occur once the project gets started. For many people, that isn't the case. They have a set budget and that is really all they can spend. So you must be realistic with your circumstances. And, in many cases, I think it is better just to buy a home that is habitable and, that you can move into pretty much straight away and build yourself up in that way, than it is to do a project like this, which requires so much time and kind of money investment that, for most people, it isn't really feasible. So as I've said, you've got to really assess it for yourself. For me personally, it's not something I think I will ever do, even in the future. I do intend to buy a home here in Italy in the future. I've been renting here. This will be the 7th year that I have been renting here. And really, the property that we're renting now, I think, is the last property I want to rent. After this, I would like to consider buying somewhere here, because I think I've spent enough time renting to really understand where I would like to buy a home, and also to understand the crazy bureaucracy that goes into purchasing a home here, because it isn't a simple process necessarily. And I think if I had tried to buy a home at the very beginning, it would have completely overwhelmed me. So I feel sometimes it's better to ease yourself into the process of buying a home and not necessarily rush to buy one straight away, especially using these initiatives. Really get to know a place first. Really invest time into renting, perhaps for the first couple of years, to really understand if that is the best decision for you, because there are tax implications and everything else that goes into owning a home here. So you want to be sure it's the right thing for you, because you might decide it isn't, having spent enough time living here. So that is my take on the €1 home initiative. I don't think it is, a complete waste of time, but I think it is really only suitable for a select group of people who either, are really invested into transforming homes, renovating them, refurbishing them, or people who, have time and money resources available to them and want to get involved in something like this. I think if you plan to move to Italy fairly quickly, or you want to have a fairly smooth process, I don't think this is the best way for you to kind of move to Italy. I think there are far simpler ways that you can do it rather than getting involved in a project like this. I hope this video has helped by sharing my opinion on the €1 home initiative. If you enjoyed this video, watch this one next, where I share with you the things that I wish I had known before moving to Italy, updated for 2025. I'll see you in the next video.